Hello and welcome back to this week's theory. This is going to be my a theory I kind of hinted at before, which is my monster propaganda theory. I am taking a step back from Deltarune, as I know there's going to be a newsletter shoot soon, and as we get more information, I know for a fact that the next two theories are going to be fully focused on Deltarune, and everything after that is going to be post Deltarune Chapter 3 and 4. So I know it's going to be a while until I can talk about Undertale again, so I want to do that here today. But before that, a small channel update. Next week's video is probably going to be my biggest and highest quality video yet, so I hope you guys are looking forward to that. Honestly, I'm very proud of how this video is coming out right now, and I think it's an important one, especially if you haven't been fully in the community since Chapter 2 came out. Next up is, because of the fact that Deltarune is going to take up a lot of my channel going forwards, I want the next few Sunday videos to be fully focused on Undertale. This means more dual game, Undertale Yellow and Red, and also I'm going to do like a full playthrough of just regular Undertale. Also, you might have noticed I've been, at least in my shorts, doing up a lot more of my personal projects. And I just want to bring attention to this because while I do enjoy theorizing, my passion is game design and programming. So if you guys could just check out some of the stuff I've been doing over the shorts on my Twitter page, that'd be great. And other than that, there's some more stuff planned, but you just have to wait and see that. To begin today's theory, I wanted to talk about the story of Undertale and the history behind the monsters and humans. I know a lot of people already know about this, but I think it's important to look at what information we are directly given, as this will completely decide on how we move forward with this theory. We are told that both humans and monsters ruled over Earth, like in harmony for a while. We are told that humans and monsters rule over Earth together, and it's only when humans became scared of the monster's power to absorb their souls to gain power that they decided they had to do something. And because of this fear, they started a war against the monsters, which ended with monsters getting locked underground. And this story is shown to us at the beginning of the game and also in war. There is another time we learn about some of the history, which is at the end of True Pacifist. We are told in a cutscene that Asgore absorbs Kara's soul in order to take their body to the flower bed of their hometown, and that humans thought he had come down to kill them, so all fought. Asgore, after seeing how the humans misjudged Asgore and killed him for no good reason, becomes enraged and declares war on humanity, with his end goal being to wipe them out once and for all. But we can tell that this isn't the full picture, because when we talk to Flowey at the end of the genocide run, we find out that Asriel, even if he didn't really want to, did have the intention to kill the humans. And that was the reason he left the underground, which means that the humans, while not in the right, weren't unjust for thinking the way they did and reacting the way they did. And yet, Asgore has twisted this without his knowledge. I want to make sure that you know that Asgore doesn't mean this, but he ends up twisting what happens to make humans seem like the ultimate evil of the story. And this feels like propaganda, even if it wasn't intended to be so by Asgore at the time. Because I know a lot of people are going to be against this idea at first, I want to add a little bit more evidence to the fact that parts of the story that we are told and part of the history we are told by the monsters is incorrect. I've brought this up before, but with Asriel, it's the fact that's told to us in this history books that for monsters to equal to like one human soul, it would take every single monster soul. And this is directly disproven within Undertale, as when Asgore absorbs 6 human souls and all of the monster souls, he's said to have the equivalent of 7 human souls, and yet we know that Nabspluk isn't absorbed, meaning that he had 1 less soul. And while this is a small amount to get wrong, it is important to realise the fact that at the time this was written, monsters were a lot less than how many they were before, because this was written right after the war, meaning that a lot of the monsters would have died. So either this is a fact about the amount of monsters before the war happened, meaning that before the war there was enough monsters to equal 1 human soul, or it means that after they got killed, that many monsters equaled 1 human soul. And if that's the case, then they are directly hiding or fudging up the facts which do that state that monsters are a lot weaker than they actually are. Because if monsters with only like a few hundred left equal 1 human, even though that's still not a lot, it's a lot better than a few thousand monsters 1 human. After looking at this and realising the fact that a lot of the things we told by monsters aren't inherently true and are from a slightly biased point of view, it repaints a lot of the things we are told in a more negative light. And I'm going to go through a few of these now. There's a book in Snowden. If you read it, it tells you about what souls are made of. It tells you that souls are made up of compassion and love, and that this is for monsters. It said it can't be indicative of souls, as humans have proven these are not needed to exist. This is very clearly trying to imply that monsters always have love and compassion in their souls, while humans don't, which is directly painting humans in this like almost evil light that humans are born heartless while monsters aren't. And I think that's very unfair, as there's a lot of times where this is disproven. But that's in my next point. I also want to point out the fact that monsters have very clearly been affected by this idea of humans being naturally or evil, as all monsters in Undertale attack you on sight, even though you are quite literally just a child. And it is very clear that this isn't just a thing because you're at war with monsters right now. This monster have declared war on with humans, because the characters in the ruins also act this way, and the ruin characters wouldn't have known as well about this because the ruins was locked off by Toriel right after Asgore announces this. And also, I want to add to the fact, like I said before, that monsters are all good, which is very much so not the case, especially when you consider like someone like Barghan's, who is mistreated constantly by all the people around him, including Metaton. And while it is like a bit of a joke, it is still showing that monsters can naturally be evil or mean. Well, not evil, but monsters can be naturally more like unkind or like brutish, and that they have flaws to their characters, which means that both monsters and humans can have flaws while not being evil. And yet, the history books are trying to paint it the other way, where humans all flawed or always are flawed, while monsters are always not flawed. This shows a big disconnect between how it is in reality and how the books are written about the history of monsters. Next up, I want to talk about who started it. Because after this, I don't feel as confident that it was fully as it said, that monsters did nothing and humans just fought. But at the same time, I'm still going to believe that, because I think it makes a nice parallel between monsters and humans. Because humans declared war on monsters out of fear. They did it out of fear because they thought monsters could overpower them easily, and they let their fear take control of their action. Monsters, on the other hand, declare war because of anger and spite towards humans for what they did to Asgore. They let their emotions boil up so much that they let their anger control their actions. And it's very clear that Asgore regrets this. He feels guilt all the time. But I also think the fact that humans and monsters do actually end up cooperating at the end of the passive run do show that humans at some point do regret what they did to monsters. It's important that both of these feelings were not unjust. Both of these feelings had roots in reality, where humans knew that monsters were these powerful gods, and the monsters knew that humans could and have killed their own kind. But they used that to back up bad actions, and they were misguided in the way they used their emotions. And I think that's where the propaganda comes in, where they're making people's emotions be so that it's just a much more negative view on the world, when in reality all they really need to do from the beginning was just be peaceful. In both scenarios, the leaders only think about their own safety and their people's safety, rather than the bigger picture. Next up, I will talk about Kara. I think it's very obvious that Kara hated humans when they fell into the underground, but I think because of the massive hatred towards humanity in the underground, and all the propaganda against him even before Kara's death, she just would have rooted this idea of humanity being evil in Kara's mind more and more, to the point where Kara thought the only way to succeed or move on was to kill humanity. And while I'm not blaming monsters for what Kara did, I do think that if monsters were less against humanity, not saying they should have been less against humanity, but if they were, I think Kara would have had a different view on humanity, or still negative, because whatever humanity did to Kara was obviously awful. But I think it would just broaden Kara's mindset a bit. Finally, I want to talk about Asgore, because Asgore is the most interesting character to me, because Asgore's either mischaracterized in the community to be this completely evil, psychopath, or he's mischaracterized to be this completely innocent and lovable character. And while he is very kind and lovable, you do have to realize that he did sentence 6 most likely innocent to death, and his plan was to kill all of humanity, which is no better than what humanity did to monsters. Just because humanity did something bad to them doesn't make them doing something bad back any more just. And the fact that Asgore thought this way at all shows the fact that monsters can have, aren't necessarily always compassionate. While they are compassionate to other monsters, it seems when it comes to humans, compassion isn't always there naturally. I'm not trying to say Asgore is purely evil in any way. I'm just trying to show that just because one of these characters... Wait, what am I saying? I'm just trying to show that these characters have more depth, and the way they're trying to explain the way in universe shows the fact they're trying to hide up what is actually going on, whether they mean to or not. At the end of the day, there isn't actually a bad guy in Undertale, and the only time there is a bad guy is when you become one. Every character always has some amount of morality then. Even characters like Zoe end up becoming good. And it just shows the fact that Undertale's story isn't about these characters you have to fight against, or these characters are evil. It's that every character is good in their own way. You just need to let that show. And this is why I don't like the fact that a lot of the community dissipate the majority of humanity in this completely negative light, while putting the monsters on this pedestal of being completely compassionate and well-meaning, as this is wrong, and it's been shown multiple times that in Undertale, monsters can be these flawed characters, and that's important. I think it's also important for Deltary, as a lot of monsters seem to be flawed in different ways, but they're all still good, like, deep down. Anyway, that's just my opinions on what I think actually happened with Human Samuels. Whether you agree, it's up to you, but if you enjoyed this video at all, please subscribe. Anyway, thanks for watching.